In this video, I'm going to tell you how you can repurpose your skills and expertise as a researcher for a career in consulting. Hi guys, and welcome to Research Strategies Australia. We're a management consulting firm focused on maximising the benefits of publicly funded research. In today's video, I'm going to tell you how your skills, your expertise, and your knowledge as a researcher can translate into successfully working as a consultant. At the moment, there's a lot of uncertainty around job security in universities and public research labs. Labs around the world are closed and university campuses have been empty for weeks as countries have gone into lockdown over COVID-19. There are likely lots of early career researchers employed on grant funding, wondering where their next contract is going to come from. And at the other end of the scale, there are probably quite a few senior researchers late into their careers looking at the possibility of redundancy packages and thinking about what next in their future. But whatever stage of career you're at, it's worth considering the opportunities that striking out as a consultant might bring to you as a researcher. So let's get started with some tools to help you think about how your work as a researcher translates into the world of consulting. The first thing to say is that there are a range of different ways that you can work as a consultant. But to be able to see these, you first have to be able to think beyond yourself as just a researcher. It might sound simple, but I've seen lots of researchers try and make the leap into management consulting, but fail. What they find is that there are actually only a very small number of clients that can get value from them as researchers. When in actual fact, there are lots of different ways that you can add value to a client. Think about it like this. Your consulting opportunity as a researcher form a pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, you have your research expertise. It's a narrow area of research and there are probably only a small number of people working in this area with you. At the next level of the pyramid is your discipline-specific knowledge and what I'd call your know-how. This is comprised of the broader understanding and knowledge that you've gained through your education and in your career as a researcher. Anyone who's trained as a researcher in your field would probably have more or less the same core set of understandings and capabilities of your discipline. And they've probably had a similar set of experiences in terms of the kinds of work that they've done throughout their career. Now finally, at the base of the pyramid are your research skills. These are the skills that you've developed and that you utilize on a day-to-day basis as a researcher. A lot of these are skills that people with an undergraduate degree might also have, but the thing that distinguishes you as a researcher is that you've applied these skills at a very high level. What I want you to do is think about what bits of your expertise, your knowledge and your skills would be put in each of those segments of the pyramid. So for example, in the base of the pyramid, there are things like data analysis, there are things like desktop research, there are things like literature reviews, survey design, report writing, grant writing, these kinds of competencies and skills. In the middle segment of your pyramid, you might have things like knowing how to operate a certain piece of equipment, or you might know how to set up a lab in a particular way for a particular purpose. You might know how to apply a specific statistical technique. It's a mix of discipline, knowledge and know-how, but in this segment there are certain things that are pretty unique to your experience and training and having worked as a researcher. And finally, at the top of the pyramid, well, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is your research and you're the expert. But in this segment, there are also a range of applications of your research into industry settings that you know about. For example, You might know that applying your research to change the feed that goes into cattle can lead to increased meat on the bone for primary producers. You might know that by applying your research in social psychology, for example, you could increase the uptake of sustainably sourced coffee into the supply chain. Basically, in this segment, not only is there your research, but there's also all of the applications of your research where you could have an impact on the way that things are currently done in business. So that's step one. Step two is to think about how clients correspond into each of these segments of your pyramid. And what you're going to find is that as you work your way up the pyramid, the potential clients become fewer and fewer. So for example, there are lots of different clients that can benefit from your skills in data analysis, for example. Almost every industry uses data analysis as part of their daily activities. Similarly, pretty much every business that's involved in some form of innovation or research and development has to write grant and funding applications. But the number of companies that can benefit directly from your research is probably much, much smaller. So why is all of this important? Well, it's my view that the sweet spot for researchers looking to transition into consulting is somewhere towards the middle of the pyramid. I've seen lots of researchers try and fail to make the grade in transitioning from being a researcher to becoming a consultant. And that's usually because they've pitched themselves too low and wind up becoming just another pair of hands to a client and not really adding much additional value. Or alternatively, they've pitched themselves too high and they're just trying to sell their research into clients without ever thinking that the client may need something else entirely. Clients come in different varieties. There are some clients who you come across who already understand exactly what their problem is and know exactly what it is that they need in terms of a solution. But what they don't have is either the skills or the in-house capacity in their current team to execute that piece of work. Writing grant applications is a great example. If you're a company applying for a grant, then you know that you need to write a grant proposal. So what you're looking for is someone to help with writing a grant proposal. They probably don't want to pay someone for their research expertise into a particular area, even if that could help improve their business in the long term. In the middle segment of the pyramid is where you're going to find clients who have problems that are key to the success or failure of their business, and that more often than not aren't going to have a ready-made solution available to them. So what they'll be looking for is an expert to come and work with them. Someone whose judgment they can trust and someone whose knowledge across a broad subject is going to provide significant value to them. This is the sweet spot for researchers, the clients that sit around the middle of the pyramid. This doesn't mean that you won't be drawing on your skills and your research expertise from the other segments. These are actually going to be core aspects that you draw upon in the work that you're doing, and this is what's probably going to keep them coming back for more. But the clients in the middle segment are the ones where you can add enough value to justify charging higher fees, but at the same time, the pool of potential clients is big enough to sustain a healthy pipeline of opportunities into the future. So, there you have it. A quick guide to recasting your skills, knowledge, and expertise as a researcher for a career in consulting. So what's in your pyramid? Leave a comment below to let us know. Also, remember to subscribe so you can stay up to date with our latest videos.